My name is Alex, and I'm from Behind the Beat. And this is my interview with my friend Aldren. If you want to introduce yourself, go ahead.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Aldren. I go by Falldren as my stage name. Yeah, I'm from San Francisco. I've been making music for about a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And I'm part of Soul Food. I do the social media for Soul Food. We're a Riverside-based music collective community, and we've been expanding recently to LA and North California.
Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about how you got your name? Actually, I'm a little curious on myself. I don't know if I ever asked you.
You want to know something? This is such a funny story. Every time I tell people, they're like, "You got to be kidding me." So back in high school, fun fact, me and Alex actually went to high school together.
Yeah, Lowell.
The first week of high school, I was walking up the stairs and I fell, and both of my shoes came off. And some friends that I met, it was the first week of school, and they're like, Aldrin, you're more like Faldrin because I fell. And then that stuck for like a whole year. And then they stopped saying it for a while. And then senior year of high school, that's when I started picking up DJing for the first time. And then I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna call myself. What about Faldren? So it's just kind of like this tongue-in-cheek name that came together from some joke, but I actually ended up sticking with it.
That's actually so funny.
Yeah, it's pretty like, yeah, it's pretty funny, honestly. Like it, yeah,
It's
I
weird how
think it's
little
funny.
things like that can pick up, you know?
No, and then people they're telling me like, oh, like that's so cool. It like rolls off the tongue. I'm like, yeah, wait till you hear what the actual story of how it came about.
That's so funny. So you said DJing in high school, is that right?
Yes, my senior year of high school. Actually, my first gig was a winter formal in high school. Yeah,
No way.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
that was my first gig.
So what made you get into it?
So I had a homie. His name is Riley, who also went to Lowell, and he had this little super tiny mixer. It was literally about this big. It was like a little pocket thing, and he showed it to me for the first time, and I was just like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then I had a homie that she was on the team for coordinating dances at Lowell, and she was like, "Oh, you DJ? Like, what do you think about like DJing one of our events?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm down." I wasn't very good at the time. I'll say that I was not very good, but I think still people had a lot of fun. I think it was good.
That's all that matters.
It seemed like people were having a lot of good, a fun time.
Yeah, that's
Well,
kind of the
yeah,
stage I'm at. Like I can DJ, but like I don't really know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
yeah. Honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing until I joined DVC, which is the DJ club at UCR, where me and Alex actually did meet for the first time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I shout out DVC. We're still going strong. Shout out everybody at UCR too.
So did you help found DVC or Soul Food or
I
both?
didn't. I didn't. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll back up a little bit. I actually joined DVC my first quarter at UCR in 2015, fall 2015. But it had been around for about a little over a year and a half by the time I got there. And then in 2017 is when we formed Soul Food. So basically, the people in DVC, we wanted to throw events, but we didn't want to have our school organization name tied to the events because you can get in trouble for that.
Of course. Yep,
And
yep, yep.
so I was like, why don't we start something new? And then we're like, okay. And then we had someone go on their phone. We're like, what should we call it? Literally, we press shuffle on iTunes, and then the first song that came up, it was like by this artist named Matt Zoke, and it was called Soul Food. And we're like, that sounds kind of cool because I feel like a lot of people in Soul Food, we kind of come from different backgrounds, and we're super open with like anybody who comes in. That's kind of how like one of our main ethos is being welcoming to like every background, ethnicity, gender, like it doesn't matter.
Right.
And Yeah, my first event was in my house in Riverside in the living room.
Let's go. That's where it's
It was
best, dude. That's where it's
and
best.
it was insane because someone broke a window and I was like, we're never throwing a party at my house ever again. But I'm so glad we did because now look at it, it's crazy. We're throwing events in LA, San Francisco, all over. And yeah, if I would have stopped right there, we would not be having this kind of interview, probably, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I feel like soul food blew up, dude. Like I've literally met artists and I've mentioned soul food and they like know it or have heard of it. Like that
Wow,
says a lot.
really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've actually noticed like within probably around a year ago now, it's like when I started to see some traction with soul food, but now it's just like, wow, we've been
When
doing it
you
about,
made it, or when you helped make it, I should say,
yeah,
did you ever actually think it would become like what it is? Was that the goal, or was it just like a couple friends that wanted to get together and have some events at first?
you're exactly right with what you just said. It was about just some DJs that wanted to have an event and wanted to play different music than the typical scene in Riverside. We didn't just want to play hip hop and like ratchet music. We wanted to play like electronic music and stuff that our friends made.
Right.
And yeah, it it turned into something I honestly would never expected. Like really, like being part of the music industry now, I'm just like, wow, a lot of things can change really quickly, but also it takes time. We started that in 2017 and it's 2022 now, so
Yep, 100%. For anyone that doesn't know, like Riverside, a lot of people call it the dirty Riv. You know, we listen to some hip hop ratchet shit. Kind of
yeah,
reminds me of like some Bay Area type scene sometimes,
yeah,
in the
right,
party scene. But it's all for good fun. So moving on to you, talk a little bit about like your project, your music, like who
yeah,
inspires you, that sort of thing.
okay, yeah. For anyone who has or hasn't listened to me, I've been making music since the summer of 2020. That's when I graduated from UCR, and being a recent college graduate, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And it was a pandemic, so everybody was scared to go outside or whatever. And yeah, I was like, I want to do what I want. I want to start making music. That's something I've been wanting to do. I wanted to try in college, but for some reason, it just never clicked for me. I had what I needed. I had Ableton, which is the software I use to create music, and I had a pair of headphones and I had a laptop. That's all you need, actually.
It's all you
For
need to
anybody,
start.
for anybody who wants to start making music, you just need a DAW or a digital audio workstation, which could be Ableton, Fruity Loops, Logic, Pro X. These are all programs like on you can get easily free or not.
I will say
Or not.
Ableton is pretty
Yeah.
expensive, right? Like it's
Yeah.
probably like 800 bucks or something.
Some of them are free, some of them are not. Yeah, Ableton is pretty expensive. So the
Yeah,
newest
yeah.
one, Ableton 11, is probably like $700. But yeah, anyways, so I started making music right after I graduated, and I was like, wow, this is really hard. But I had a vision. I knew what I wanted to make. The typical genres that I make are trap and wave music. So if you haven't heard of wave music before, some artists that make hard wave, or as you know, that's what some people like to call it, Skeller, RL Grime, Haimanu, Remnant EXE. There's a lot of people from Sable Valley. That's what I'm repping right here. It's one of my favorite labels. And yeah, so basically the genre started about in the mid 2000 or mid 2010s, and it takes a lot from trap music and trance hard style and a lot of hip hop beats, witch house, if anybody's ever heard of that. Yeah, it takes a dubstep also. There's so many different variations of wave music. It's a sound, but it's not necessarily just that. To me, it's like a feeling, because
Mm.
wave music, it's typically there's like three main components. There's a Reese bass, which is basically like a very low detuned sounding bass sound. It sounds very gritty sometimes. Synths that are very atmospheric, ethereal sounding, and a vocal, usually female, and it's very sounding like it's in the background. And yeah, all those elements combined together with like trap drums, that's wave music for
Hmm.
a TLDR. But yeah, it's hard to explain for some people if they never heard it, but they probably heard it and they just didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah, honestly, I've definitely heard of wave music mostly because of Cedar, right? And I'm pretty sure I've
Right.
talked about it with you, but like if you asked me to describe it, all I would say is like it's related to trap. But like I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you songs that I've heard that are wave,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least not at this
yeah.
point.
That's
And I'm
no
pretty in
problem.
tune with EDM, to be honest, compared to
Yeah,
most
yeah.
people.
It's it's still a very underground genre.
Yeah.
Recently, last year, I don't know if you ever heard of Beatport.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Beatport is the premier music selling website for artists.
Right. I was gonna say it's a
And
website, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and last year it was a big highlight for the wave scene because we are now featured in the trap playlist for there's a wave section on Beatport.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's a big thing just to
Huh.
get some recognition from the scene. And yeah, within the past 2-3 years, people like RL Grime and Skeller and Haimanu, they really brought the scene to new heights, in my opinion. And yeah, I can't wait for a lot of these artists to play in the States because a lot of them are not from here. A lot of them are from Europe, specifically Russia, as well as Australia.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard you
Yeah,
mention Earl Grime a couple of times now. So like trap is one of my favorite genres. I wouldn't say it's like necessarily my favorite, but it's one of my
yeah.
favorite. And RL Grime is like top five for me, like especially live. But in
He's
general, just I
yeah,
love RL
he's
Grime.
great. I love him, man. Yeah, he's my biggest inspiration actually. He's the reason why I started making music.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I saw him at Countdown at the NOS
I was there.
in
Yeah.
2017 or 2016, I think, or 2016 going into 2017.
Yeah.
And he played like so many countdowns at this point. But that was the first time I saw him there, and I was blown away. I was like, I want to be like that guy. And yeah, still to this day, he's my biggest inspiration. And yeah.
And I could hear that in a lot of your music, honestly. Like I could tell that
Hey,
you have
that's
some
a
RL
big
Grime.
compliment. Yeah.
No, I really
Yeah.
can.
That's
What you
awesome, man.
described in Wave is like a lot of how I would describe RL Grimes songs, or at least a couple
Yeah.
of them. That sort of inspiration. So, what songs are there? Any songs specifically you could tell me or the audience about that RL Grime has that you would call like Wave?
Yeah. So I guess in the wave scene, one of the faces, his name is Skeller. He's
Okay.
a he's an artist from Australia, and his biggest song is called Arcadia. It's actually a remix of Hardwell. It's also named Arcadia. And Arl Grime has an unreleased remix of Skeller's Arcadia, and that's like my favorite song. Like I love that song, but I don't know if it's ever coming out because there's like issues with like Hardwell's team or whatever, like the royalties and stuff. But I love that song, and I can't. Every time I hear it live, I want to start crying. It's so beautiful.
I was just gonna ask if he plays it live. So he does play it live.
Sometimes, yeah,
Okay.
sometimes he plays it live.
Nice.
Not every
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So actually talking about playing live, that's a perfect segue. Talk about like you and your performances live and if you have any upcoming shows and if not, like what have your past experiences been like?
Okay. Yeah. I guess I can talk about one show that I was really proud of that happened last year. It
Yeah.
was last summer. Soul Food. It was our first IRL in person event from from transitioning to Twitch. We were throwing URL events basically every month, and it was awesome. Basically, we became like a TV production channel. Like
Did
we
you
were
just say
putting on,
URL?
yeah,
I've never
like
heard that term.
oh okay, like URL, like internet,
Yeah,
internet
yeah,
event.
yeah. I just
Yeah,
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 I
yeah,
know what URL means, but I've never heard someone say it like that, like IRL but
yeah,
URL. That's funny.
yeah, yeah. Basically, yeah, like virtual
Virtual
and
events. Yeah.
yeah, and it was super fun. I mean, we couldn't perform like live, obviously, because of COVID,
Yep.
and we had to adjust and adapt. But then that summer of 2021, it was our first event back, and it was amazing. It was in Catch One, downtown Los Angeles. We had me, back to back Hassan, my good friend Christian. I don't know if you ever met him.
Yeah.
And then without Remnant.exe, Johns, and Remke. It was insane. Still to this day, one of the proudest events I've ever had a hand in throwing. And yeah, it was
Nice.
awesome.
Nice.
I think that was a big stepping stone for soul food for where we're at now. Just
Hmm.
because it was the first time I feel like we had a lineup with many rising artists and people who are already established. Like that was a big show. When I can't believe I was even a part of that lineup. I was when we were making it originally, I wasn't even on that lineup. So
How are you guys able to get those kind of artists?
yeah, so obviously with doing Sulfur for a while, we have a few connections, especially
Okay.
because of our Discord.
Yep.
Soul Food Discord, it's so big now. Like it's over 700 members actually. And I remember when we first started it, it was at like less than 100 for like 2 years. And I think a big reason why it blew up was because of our Twitch. A lot of people were watching our Twitch streams that we're putting on, and then it would redirect them to our Discord. And yeah, a lot of people on that lineup actually I had met quote unquote for the first time on Discord through video
Mm.
chat. And through that, we invited some of those people to come play out with us, and then we reached out to some other artists to play through their managers, and yeah, it all
Sounds
came
very
together.
organic.
Yes, yeah, honestly, it is. Like everything about soul food is like super organic and grassroots, and I think a lot of people genuinely like that. They can tell that we're super genuine, and we just do it because we love music and putting on talent.
That's awesome. Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about your project. Like what what have been your biggest difficulties as an artist like coming up? What's the biggest hurdle?
Okay. Yeah. So I actually have no like idea how to play any instrument. I don't know how to play the piano. I don't know how to play guitar. I have very limited music theory knowledge, and I feel like now I'm learning it because I feel like it's a necessity to keep on improving your music. But now, yeah, it's at first it was just me like putting sounds together and like trying to see if it sounds good. That was like my biggest hurdle. And now that I feel like I have some knowledge of how to make music, I probably know about maybe not even 10% of Ableton, but I'm making stuff that I really like. I actually was working on something today before this interview, and I love it. It sounds great. So I'm excited. You caught me at a good time to have this interview because I feel like this is the most creative I've been in a while. I could
That's
definitely
awesome.
feel it. Like there's times like you've probably heard of writer's block before,
Of course.
but I feel like as an artist, there's it's like a roller coaster. Like there's peaks and there's valleys. You never know when you're gonna be hot making music. You never know when you're gonna be just like not enjoying it. Like there's some times where you just can't write down anything, and I feel like at that point, usually you should do something else. Like you should, like just enjoy life. Like I'm starting to realize now that I make the best music when I balance making music and also living my outside life and enjoying other of my hobbies.
That makes sense, right? Because like if you force yourself to do something, it's usually never as good.
Yeah, if you're making music 20 hours a day, you know what I mean? Of course, that's going to make you better. You repetition, repetition, but also you're going to get sick of it. And that's what a lot of burnout comes from artists is just like doing the same thing over and over again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
But
sometimes you
what
just got to, yeah.
no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I I get inspiration from just doing other things other than music, like just going out and like it doesn't even have to be like partying. It just honestly like driving, like just like going out to get groceries. I'll just like think of something like an idea. I'm like, oh, what about this? Yeah, a lot of mundane tasks. I get a lot of inspiration from. Weirdly enough.
Yeah. You know what I noticed actually like a couple weeks ago? One of my my videographers slash business partners for Behind the Beat, we were talking about ideas, and I felt like I didn't really have any. And a week went by, and we talked about it, and I told him like, hey, like I'm struggling right now. And I remember like vividly that night going in the shower, and like
Yeah,
while I was taking a shower, for some reason, like a bunch of ideas hit me. And like as soon as I got out, I like ran to my phone and went to like my notes, and I started doing
yeah,
like voice memos and writing notes about all these like ideas for series I can do. It's really weird how like when and how like ideas could come up. So now
yeah.
I'm just like,
No,
man,
seriously.
if I have writer's block, quote unquote, I should just go take a shower. Like that's it for me, like that's my
No,
escape.
yeah. I forgot who, but my homie Ramon Pang actually he told me that he was the one who told me where he read some article or some like paper or something that says that a lot of creativity and inspiration comes from doing the most simplest tasks, like doing your chores or just like walking or going out. For some reason, the brain gets stimulated by doing nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, as an artist, like what has been your plan to really like expose yourself as much as you can, right? Like what have you done?
Okay.
Because I've heard different strategies, right? Like I don't know if you know Russ at all, but like Russ is kind of someone that I
Oh,
listen to
oh,
some
the
of his
rapper.
music. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, yeah.
do you
Go
know
ahead. You
about his
said.
strategy?
I don't know what is it. Put out as
So
much music as
no, no. So
possible.
he was very different from most people. So his strategy was like, I'm gonna go totally independent. I'm never gonna
Okay.
like listen or talk to any labels, and I'm gonna put out as much music as I can. Like I'm gonna force myself to release once a week. And I think he did that. I don't want to
Wow.
misspeak, but I want to say he might have released 300 songs in 300 weeks in a row or something. And he said like from the first song to like song 300, he only gained like 5,000 followers. But from like the 300 to like 500, this isn't a direct quote. I'm just saying from
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
300 to 500, he grew like, 10x followers, right? Like at first, no one listened to him, but like eventually he started releasing music and like it was just good enough to where people wanted to listen, right? And so like that was his strategy of blowing up. But like I've heard some other people say like, we strategize releases like once every
Yeah,
3 months. So like what's been your
yeah.
strategy?
So I haven't been putting out music too long. My first release was actually in, I believe, September of 2021, 2021 or no, 2020. Yeah, 2020. And yeah, I there is some strategy to it, but also I feel like, oh, wait, Alex, are you still there? Oh, okay. My bad. I wasn't too sure.
No, no, I just wanted to like highlight you
Oh,
sometimes
okay,
when you're
okay,
talking, that
okay.
kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
thing.
you can put it back. Sorry,
Yeah, keep going.
I
Oh
wasn't
no,
sure.
you're good. I'm glad
Oh
you
yeah.
asked.
Basically, yeah, my first release was in September 2020, and since then I feel like I've learned a lot. I like making my own visuals for my music because it, puts it in some context. Also, I feel like music just it's not always just enough anymore. There's so much music being produced and put out on social media. Things people do not have have a long attention span. It's very short, and I think TikTok has a big part of that. To be honest, I'm not complaining or anything about it, but I've definitely noticed a shift in how quickly the punchline or like the drop in like a lot of these music previews comes nowadays, and I definitely changed myself. Instead of putting it 10 seconds, you put it like the first 5 seconds because that's what people want to hear. And I guess in general, I figured out that I do like putting out singles, but my best music comes in the form of projects, specifically EPs. So I have two EPs. My first EP released in March of 2021. It was called Nuclear Fusion. I'll circle back to that because that was a big moment for me. And then I also released a second EP the latter half of 2021 as well. That was kind of a different take on different genres that I make besides bass music, including trap and wave. And yeah, I'm actually working on another EP, and that's going to be a wave slash trap project. And it's going to come out hopefully June slash July.
Nice. I
Yeah.
like that you set your like a goal for yourself. That's when you want to release.
Yeah, I now that I've done two projects, I kind of know, I feel like what I want to do. I have a better scope of what happens, and I'm putting a lot of resources into the visual aspect of this project because I'm really proud of it, and I wanted to make sure that people can see it and like kind of into this world that I'm creating.
Can you talk
Yeah.
a little bit more about that? That sounds very vague, but like very interesting to me. What do you mean by work on the visuals?
So, for example, I guess something like pretty much everybody has seen is when you play a song on Spotify, sometimes there's a little video that shows up. So that's called a canvas. And a lot of people, some people put like silly videos on there, like little TikToks they make. But some people actually like put a lot of resources into those short videos. And in turn, something that's eye-catching is going to make people want to share it more on their Instagram stories, for example. And yeah, also just like YouTube videos, like making a music video. I want to make a a music video actually. That's something I want to do for this project. But sorry, I have to blow my nose real quick.
No, go
But
for it.
yeah, it's doing an electronic music video is hard. Like,
Yeah.
sorry,
No, you're good. Yeah, that sounds really hard.
it's difficult. Somebody who did a great music video I just saw was Seeds.
Yeah, I
His
saw
latest
that
one
too.
for Dear Lucy, amazing, amazing. I really loved it, honestly.
Yeah.
But it makes sense for him because he's doing the vocals. You
Right.
know what I mean? Obviously, I'm making the music, but I feel like I still haven't found a way that would be super interesting for me to make a music video. I have ideas, but it it would require me to reach out to people who are skilled in making those kind of things because I I can't do 3D modeling or like making like those kind of things. Yeah, or visuals. I'm not really good at that. I can do like Photoshop and like some video editing, but some people are insane. And the
Yeah.
kind of quality that I would want, I feel like I'd have to spend good money for that, which I have no problem with because artists deserve it. But yeah,
Right.
I
Hmm.
hope
That
that
sounds
kind
really
of,
cool.
yeah. I haven't shared too many details about it because I haven't like th- I've mentioned it, but this is, I guess this is one of the first times I've mentioned publicly that I'm
Okay.
like doing a project. I played some of it at my show last Tuesday for the
How was
first
the
time.
feedback at the show?
Yeah, it was good. It was my first time hearing those songs on a good system. I was cheesing, man. I was like, whoa, these sound crazy. But yeah, recently, like I said, I've been on like a creative streak. I've been making things that I'm like, I kind of want this to be on the project now because I I guess I finished the demos for most of this project uh maybe about 2 months ago. It's 6 songs. But the song I made yesterday, I was like, I think it has to be on there. Like,
That's good.
and yeah, I mean, it's exciting for me because it's like, damn, like sometimes artists go on this creative streak. Like, it's weird because when making music, what I've noticed in my short amount of time, I've been making music almost 2 years. You have these growth spurts. It's like a lot of the time it's like pretty stagnant, but man, sometimes you just shoot up. Like you can notice your skill level and like just like your knowledge increases super quickly, and you're just like, whoa, this is
How have you
way
increased your
better.
knowledge? How have you increased your knowledge? Do you watch YouTube videos or what do you do?
Yeah, so I can say that the number one thing that has increased my knowledge besides making the music is repetition. So in the Soul Food Discord, we have an event every day. It's called the Producer Hour. And me alongside we have a host every day, which is one of the admins for the Soul Food Discord. We host a session that is from it's usually at nighttime and it's 1 hour and we go on the Discord. We all mute ourselves and we make a beat for an hour, and we show each other what we made in that hour. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that we just started. It could be something that we're working on and we want to put more time into it. And yeah, I've probably done over 200 of those since we
Wow,
started.
that's pretty
So
cool.
yeah, so being able to track that, I mean, 200 hours and everything. The rule is 10,000 hours, right? I don't know if you heard the 10,000 hour
I
rule.
have heard that, yeah.
That's how to be a master at anything. But yeah, I'm still obviously very early in my career, but knowing that I've put in that amount of hours, it's comforting to me, and I feel like, okay, it's justified. Like, yeah, you put a lot of time and effort into this, you have something to show for it. So
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And I
yeah.
really like the fact, like you explaining how you've learned, right? Because like everyone learns differently. Like I know some people that go to these schools to learn music. I know some people
Yes.
that
Yes.
have previous music experience. And
Right.
for example, like I have a cousin who wants to like produce music for fun, and he
Right.
has no music knowledge at all. And he just goes on, what is it called? Logic.
Yeah. Logic.
Yeah. Yeah. So he just goes on Logic and he just like messes around. He used to do GarageBand, but he's
Okay.
done it for like a year and a half. And like he got good enough to where like he bought Logic, and now he just like, he sounds decent, honestly, when he makes things. Right. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's weird how everyone learns in a different way. And like whatever way you need to learn to get to where you want to go, like that's what works for you. That's great.
Yeah. Honestly, and it's great. I feel like so back to the producer hour.
Yeah.
Once we finish our beat, we upload it. It's a private link on SoundCloud, and then we play it in the Discord for everybody who's in there, and you can offer feedback to the person who made the beat. So that's helped me a lot. Feedback is really important in my opinion, because a lot of producers, they second guess their work. They're
Yeah.
like, I don't know if this sounds good or what. And just having that second, third ear, it helps tremendously.
Yeah.
Helps tremendously. And doing it after that a while, and just hearing that feedback, it's not even necessarily my beat, but it makes me better.
Right.
I've learned a lot from so many different people just because of the producer hour, in my opinion.
Right. And I'm sure that
Yeah.
works because not only do you know the people that are giving the feedback, but like you respect them and you know that they
Yes.
have skills.
I know they have the, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody who comes in there, they come from different backgrounds. They make different genres. Everybody makes something different, and it's cool
Right.
to hear like that feedback, and also people offering me different ideas that I wouldn't have thought of beforehand.
Right. And I'm sure it's good to be around like-minded people, like for anyone that
Yeah,
wants to become a
100%.
producer, find people that are doing it and, be in that group. It's always better to be around people that want to become what you're trying to become, right? Because then you guys can like
A
learn from
hundred
each other.
percent. Yeah, one of the best advice I've ever heard is when it comes to being a musician is from Diplo. He was doing some like beat battle, and he was saying this was a joke. He was just like, "Oh, like just go find a community and like just like get fucked up with them all the time." Like, but there's actually some merit to that. Like being with people that are like-minded with you and finding a community, it's helped me a lot. Specifically for, I guess, for example, me, I make wave music, and my community is on Twitter. I met so many people on there who are wave artists, and they help me. They boost up my posts, they repost me, and I've never met any of these people in real life.
That's so
And I just
cool.
I just know them from online, and it's like so crazy, like hearing people from around the world are like, "Oh my god, Aldren, I'm so excited for your song," and all of this. I'm just like, wow, the internet is an insane place. I know some, it's difficult for some artists because they don't really like promoting themselves online, and they're just not good at it.
Yeah.
But they're talented producers, and but they still have their music heard because they're so talented, and people
Right.
share it all over the world, basically.
That's cool that you guys are putting all each other on, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes, I never remember the actual quote, but I've been telling people this recently, but it goes something along the lines of like, if you steal something, like let's say you watch something and you follow it like word for word, like let's say I look up a video, how to make a song, and I copy it word for word. In the
Yes.
English language, that would be technically stealing. But if I watch 50 videos on how to make a song and I take one piece from one video and one piece on another, like I learned how to EQ from one video and I learned what drums are cool in another video, and I take a little bit of knowledge from, from each person, right? Like little
Yes.
tidbits.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the best way to learn that I've seen.
Yes. There's a there's a I think Picasso said this. He said good artists create, great artists steal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Great
funny.
art no, 100% great artists
Yeah.
steal, like uh sampling. A lot of
Right.
people
That's
think
technically
that's
that's,
a
yeah, in a way
yeah,
that is stealing, right?
yeah,
Everyone does that.
stealing, right? Like
We're all
everybody
stealing from each
samples,
other
you
to
know
make
what I
each other
mean? Like
better.
yeah, exactly. Like how many songs have you heard that sample some song from the 90s? Like do it to it. That song is a sample. Like
Right.
you know what I mean? Like all these
Right.
different songs are samples and it's but you take it and you create it into something new. That's what's beautiful about sampling in my opinion.
Yeah. And that makes me think, like, one of the things that gets a lot of people into EDM, something that's very prominent is remixes, right?
Yes,
Like in most
100%.
genres, like when I hear hip hop songs, I just assume that's their song. It's not a remix. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
majority of EDM songs you listen to are remixes, right? So the culture of EDM is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like collaborative in a sense, like it's very,
A
I make a
hundred
song and
percent.
this person's going to work off my song, and then I'm going to release it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's we call it bootlegging,
Right.
basically. Like
That's
a
what it
lot
is.
of
Yeah.
like just like taking from one thing and making something. Yeah, that's half of why some of these artists are huge.
Right.
A lot of artists blow up initially because they do remixes for bigger artists. That's just
Right.
the way that it goes usually.
The thing that I never understood is, like, for example, if I make a remix for like Zed, I've
Yeah.
seen like some artists, they'll release the remixes under their name, right? Like that.
Yeah.
How does that work? Do you actually know? Because that always was confusing to me.
Are you talking about like in the title? Like
So no, so for example, like let's say I make a Seven Lines remix,
okay.
right? Like I've literally gone to like Seven Lines profile and he'll have like an album and it'll be called like, Never Have I Been Found remixes. And it'll say the artist, it'll say like his song, and then it'll say like whoever made it like
Oh, and
tritonal remix.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But it's interesting that you could find it under Seven Lines. You don't have to go under tritonal. Like I always thought that was interesting. So I'm assuming that's like the actual artist releasing them and like putting them on.
Yeah. Yeah, usually with those kind of remix projects, the artist who made the song reaches out to different artists to have them be remixed.
Okay, got it.
And
Oh,
they
I
put
didn't
it
know that's
under a
how it
compo
worked.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I've
interesting.
done that before actually with my project Nuclear Fusion that had came out. I asked a bunch of people to remix my music and then I put that out last summer. And it was dope.
Oh,
Hearing people remix your own music it's
it's
a
sick, huh?
very
It's a
it's
cool
so
feeling.
sick, man. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it's so cool. I'm just like, how did you make that? It's just like I made these sounds I put together, but then like they take a totally new turn for you. And then you could play those songs out. You know what I mean? Like it's so fun. I love it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, Talking about remixes and like working with people, talk about collaboration in music. Like, have you ever done a song with anyone else, or is everything you release like
Yeah.
solos?
Okay. So I guess this is a good time to talk about my biggest song, quote unquote. It's actually collaboration. It's called Nuclear Fusion. And this song was made all over the internet. My collaborator, his name is Sierra Nova. He's also from the Bay Area, but we've never met. We've never met, and we just know each other from mutual friends. And that song, it was a title track of my first EP. Got played live at a festival. It got played by Nero at Forbidden Kingdom, which was this big Insomniac event in Florida last summer around June. And yeah, that shit changed my life. Honestly, that song changed my life. After that, a lot of people started paying attention to me, because Nero, they're legends. They're Skrillex level. Like, who hasn't heard of Nero Promises? You know what I mean?
Yep,
And for someone as big as them to play my music out, dude, I'm not even gonna lie. I was crying. I was straight up crying watching that video. That's my
that's
pinned
awesome.
tweet Yeah, it's on my Twitter. It was my pin tweet, and yeah, still to this day, I watch it. I'm just like, that's my song. And you want to know the craziest part?
What?
I've met people who saw that live. I know
When you say
somebody.
people, you're talking about randoms?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
So there's a guy online. I haven't met him personally and like face to face yet, but
All right.
I'm playing an online music festival for him. And we met because he was in the crowd for that set. And he was like, dude, like we were chatting just because of that song, and now we're homies online. And he's like, hey, you want to play my event? And I'm just like, that's crazy. Like, how the heck? I don't even know how they found that song. I have an idea. I think they found it from a few mixes that because it was supported by a few artists in the wave scene through some mixes, but they definitely bought the song.
Right.
Like, yeah, which is crazy to me. I'm just like, wow, Euro legends. Like, I can't believe it that they've
That's
listened
so
to my
cool.
music. And yeah.
You know, something that I asked every artist so far that I've talked to is like, how many unreleased songs do you have in your library right now? I always think that's interesting.
How many unreleased songs?
Completed, like completed songs that you haven't released that you just have like somewhere in your computer.
Well, I already mentioned that I have a whole 6 project uh unreleased EP, so that's 6. Uh Probably like 50, like 20.
Okay. That's actually lower than
Probably.
I've talked to most people. Most people are like, oh, dude, I could probably find hundreds if I really looked.
Well, yeah, I have completed. Yeah, I guess I have hundreds of beats
Yeah.
unfinished. I have hundreds of beats, but like things that like are finished, nah, I wouldn't say more than probably like 20 to 30, but I
Okay.
think they're all pretty quality.
Nice. Do you
So,
mix and master yourself?
yeah, I do actually.
Okay, nice. Talk
It's
about
tough.
that.
I'm bad at it. I'm not good. I'm getting better at mixing. That's something I definitely feel like I'm getting better at. Mastering, oh my God, it's a whole different thing. Basically, mastering is just getting your song to be louder.
Right.
And I found ways of doing it, but I don't necessarily think this is the best way to do it. A lot of the biggest artists, they don't master their projects. They have it
No.
get sent out
Yep.
because there's professional people that master. That's their entire job. They don't even
Right.
make the music. They just master the song and they make money. And eventually I feel like I'll get to that point, but for right now, I think I'm okay with where I'm at with mixing and mastering.
When you say
Yeah.
eventually you'll get to that point, you're saying eventually you'll get to the point where you just send it to someone to master for you?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think I'll eventually I get to that point too because
Yeah.
yeah, it hopefully by that time I'll have enough money to pay for those
Right.
people, those services. That's honestly the biggest thing. That's honestly the biggest thing that is just stopping me is like paying people. Like I just yeah, I just don't have the money to pay for these people's talent. So I do it myself,
Right.
which is not
Yeah.
bad.
I get what you mean for that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like uh it's tough being an artist, being like someone who even just like makes the album art. I feel bad. Like I've had homies that are like, no, you don't have to pay me, and I'm just like, damn, like I don't even have the money to pay you. I want to.
Right. Right. Like if I
Yeah.
could, I would, but I'm just not in that
If I
position
could,
right
I
now.
would. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand how you feel with that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything that we haven't talked about that you want to like say or touch on?
Um, I feel like I've kind of mentioned a lot of things that we talked about. I mentioned my new project.
Yep.
I mentioned my biggest song.
Yep. You said you're playing a virtual event sometime soon?
Yeah, I'll be playing a virtual festival online end of March. I'm really
What
excited.
what is that called? Or where can people find more info on that?
So it hasn't been announced yet,
Oh,
but it's gonna
okay.
be on Twitch. Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be on my socials and everything, and people can find it there. But it's super sick. It's a great lineup of wave artists. The best way I could put it together is if you ever heard of the double XL freshman list? It's where they put the biggest, up and coming artists
Yep.
from rap.
Rappers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this next event. Honestly,
For wave
I'm
music specifically,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Mhm.
specifically, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. I'm just like, oh, this is sick.
Nice.
Thank you.
Why don't you plug your socials? What are your socials on all the platforms?
Yeah, so I'm at Falldren on everything: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. I don't have a Facebook page, but you can follow me. Like I Aldren Pasol. That's my Facebook. YouTube. I don't. I have some music on there.
Twitch,
SoundCloud,
Reddit.
Spotify. Yeah, no, literally everything. It's all at Falldren. Thank God nobody has taken that name, but it's yeah, pretty simple. So yeah,
Nice. That
anybody
makes it
wants to follow
easy.
me there. Yeah,
Nice. Okay. Well, I think that'll be it for now. We'll wrap it up.
yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on this. I would love to do it again. Hopefully next time we could do like a behind the scenes proper, sorry, behind the beat proper episode like I did with Seeds. I would love to do that with you
I
sometime
would
soon.
love to do that. I would love to
Yeah.
show people how I make my music because I think a lot of people would be interested in that.
Do you have any
Yeah.
songs in mind that you'd want to do that for?
Yeah. Honestly, I would show something that's unreleased.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. I think it
I
would
like
be
that.
cool to show something that'd be upcoming because or I could show something that's already released too. Like
You
I
could
have
just
no,
do your
yeah.
banger one too. Who knows? Maybe we'll just do two in one.
Yeah. That would be cool too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, everyone, thank you for watching. Thanks again for the interview, Aldrin,
Thank you,
and
Alex.
we'll
I
talk
really
soon.
appreciate you for having me on here. I really love what you're doing with Behind the Beat and everything that you're going to do in the future. So, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, wherever.
Of course, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. And everyone, please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow Behind the Beat.
Thank you.